Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. We're talking about Older Americans Month. And Older Americans Month is promoted by an agency called Administration for Community Living. It's leading the nation's observance of Older Americans Month. And this month they're focusing on aging in place. You can learn more about that by searching the internet for Administration for Community Living, Older Americans Month. Wikipedia says that ACL, that's Administration for Community Living, is under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the National Institute on Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research. There are a whole host of federal statutes that set up this agency, Administration of Community Living. I'll spare you the alphabet soup of those laws. So there are a lot of things that go into representing older people. Popular terminology right now is elder law. And so, like I said before, it's counseling and representing older persons and their legal representatives. So that could be their power of attorney, their executor, their trustee. So my dad's mom also spent a lot of time with me when I was a kid because my parents were divorced, and she would take us to swimming lessons. We would go over to their house and just hang out. Even during the school year, a lot of times my dad would bring us over to their house and we would do our homework at their kitchen table. So I learned about elder law while I was at St. Mary's, and I just knew that this is what I was going to do. I thought, wow, this is going to be really great, just representing older people. I didn't really know everything that was going to entail. But I learned about this book called Blackstone's Commentaries, and I found this article, and it says, there's a moral responsibility, even higher than the legal, for children to help their needy parents. The duties of children to their parents arise from a principle of natural justice and retribution. For those who gave us existence, we naturally owe subjection and obedience during our minority, and honor and reverence ever after. They who protected us in the weakness of our infancy are entitled to our protection in the infirmity of their age. They who by sustenance and education have enabled their offspring to prosper ought in return to be supported by that offspring in case they stand in need of assistance. So William Blackstone was an Englishman, and he thought it would be a good idea to compile English law. English law wasn't all statutes, sort of like the U.S. has lots of statutes for the municipal code, the state code, and there's a federal code as well. And we supplement that with judicial opinions to tell us what the law is. Well, way back in the 1700s and before, there wasn't much written down at all. They just knew what the judicial opinions were. And so he not only wrote it down, but he organized it into these books by subject matter. And so that's where I found this article that I really like, that summarizes how I feel about elder law. Usually I'm in the habit of providing my background in the first segment, but today I wanted to shake things up a bit. So I'm going to give you my background in the second segment. I'm a lawyer here in San Antonio, Texas. Some of you think that there's only one San Antonio, but actually there's a San Antonio, New Mexico. It's located near Interstate 25 and U.S. Highway 380. I'm familiar with this place because this is the route people from Alamogordo, New Mexico would take to get to Albuquerque. My mom's sister and also my dad's sister lived in Albuquerque. Those are my aunts. And so we would go up there to visit, and we'd have to drive through this little town. If you happen to be passing through San Antonio, New Mexico, I recommend you stop at the original Al Bar and Cafe. I guess that's a free plug for them. I don't get anything out of it, but they have really good green chili cheeseburgers. So now you know of another San Antonio. You've probably gathered that I'm from New Mexico. My wife and I moved to San Antonio, Texas in 2003 so that I could attend St. Mary's Law School. And we stayed because the people in San Antonio here in Texas made us feel at home. We felt that San Antonio was a big city with lots of opportunity for work. But the people in San Antonio are also friendly, like small town people are friendly. So we decided to stay here instead of returning to our hometown in New Mexico. And like I said before, attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm focus on business and estate law. There's 2 other attorneys in addition to me. They focus on estate planning and probate, and I focus on asset protection, tax planning, business law, and helping older disabled people save money and qualify for Medicaid to pay the high cost of long-term care. This is Older Americans Month, and one thing that older Americans have to worry about is incapacity or capacity. So if you can make your own decisions and live your life without any assistance from anyone, we say you have the capacity to make those decisions, to pay bills, to decide where you live, to go to the doctor when you need to, and nobody should interfere with your autonomy there. Well, there are some medical illnesses and injuries that will cause somebody to be incapacitated. The Texas Estates Code in section 1002.017 defines incapacity as a minor, a child under the age of 18, or an adult who, because of a physical or mental condition, is substantially unable to provide food, clothing, or shelter for himself or herself, to care for the person's own physical health, or to manage the person's own financial affairs. So that's what it means to be incapacitated. And this doesn't happen like a light switch where one day you have capacity and one day you don't. I guess it could. Some people that have a stroke or a heart attack can have capacity one day and then they wake up another day and they're totally deficient of these skills. But for a lot of other people, it's more of a gradual decline. And so there are some things that you can do to make your life better and to help those who you trust to take care of you to make these decisions for deciding where you live, deciding how to best handle your health care, to making financial and legal decisions. But it's something you make these appointments, you choose who these people are to be your agent under power of attorney, to be your executor, or to be your trustee. You have to do that before you become incapacitated. So this is the hidden legal blind spot that some people fall into, is because they don't see a lawyer to get this advice and to choose who they trust to make these important decisions. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing, even though some people on the internet say so. You aren't like your neighbor. You're a unique individual with unique issues and problems and desires and goals. So your power of attorney, your will, and your trust should probably be designed in a unique way for you. I have to mention that I'm Todd Marquardt. This is Talk Law Radio. We're on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. And if you have a question, you can call the station right now on May 28th, 2022 by calling 210-308-8867. That's 210-308-8867. Or post a comment in the Facebook live feed. If you have a question about capacity or about power of attorney, you might want to mention it there. Some examples of medical conditions, illnesses, and injuries that might cause incapacity would be Alzheimer's, dementia, stroke, heart attack, traumatic brain injury. Nobody schedules these things to happen. You don't say, well, when I'm 72, I think that would be a good time for me to have a heart attack. No, people don't think that way. They want to remain independent and autonomous as long as they can. And they should. We just have to plan for in case. In case that happens, here's our backup plan. Plan A is for you to make your own decisions about everything as long as you can. Plan B would be for you to have a power of attorney. And if you don't have a power of attorney, or if it's not effective, or if you run out of agents, then a guardian could be appointed for you. So that would be Plan C. We don't necessarily want that to happen because it's expensive and it's cumbersome to get through the legal proceedings. Instead, it would probably be better for most people to have a power of attorney or a trust. Another hidden legal issue blind spot is the cost of long-term care. Some people don't know that they should be saving their money to pay the high cost of long-term care. Or they should have long-term care insurance that pays for a caregiver to come to the house, or for assisted living or memory care, or for nursing home care. This is something that has to be planned decades in advance because these are expensive services. And I run into a lot of people that just didn't have this in their budget. I'm telling you, it's a good idea to have money saved up for this so that you can decide where you want to live. In fact, we have a whole planning meeting where we can talk about your desires for long-term care, whether you want to stay at home no matter what, whether you want to stay in the nicest assisted living community in town, or whether you want to save the most money and qualify for government benefits so that you don't have to spend everything you have on this type of living arrangement and health care. We've got to take another break. You're here with Todd on Talk Law Radio. We're talking about Older Americans Month. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.